Imagine surviving in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, where freezing winds cut like knives and the sun disappears for months at a time. Sounds impossible to most of us. But for one Arctic tribe, it's just another day. Scientists have been absolutely stunned by their ability to thrive in brutal conditions that would leave most people shivering in defeat. From mind-blowing adaptations to ancient survival secrets, these people have left researchers scratching their heads in wonder. The Inuit are out there surviving in a place where the air can freeze your skin in seconds, where months go by in total darkness, and where your next meal depends on hunting massive sea creatures with nothing but traditional tools. These Arctic survivors have defied what we thought humans were capable of, and scientists are genuinely baffled. Ever heard the saying, "You are what you eat"? If that were literally true for the Inuit, they'd be made of raw meat and blubber. Science says their diet should be killing them. We're talking about a near-exclusive intake of fatty whale, seal, and fish, with barely any vegetables or fruits in sight. By all conventional logic, consuming that much animal fat should send cholesterol levels through the roof and cause widespread heart disease. But here's the astonishing twist. The Inuit actually have some of the healthiest hearts on the planet. Their secret lies in a genetic adaptation that allows their bodies to process fats differently than most humans. It's as if evolution handed them a cheat code for survival in one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Step outside in sub-zero temperatures and you'll feel your fingers go numb in minutes. But the Inuit don't just survive the cold, they thrive in it. Scientists have found that their bodies generate heat in ways most of us don't. Their metabolism is essentially turbocharged, allowing them to stay warm even when temperatures dip to deadly levels. Their physical build itself is an adaptation: shorter limbs and stockier bodies that conserve heat better. It's almost as if they were engineered for the Arctic, leading researchers to wonder just how deep these adaptations go and what secrets they might still reveal about human evolution. Beyond physiology, their culture also reveals surprising insights. You've probably heard the popular claim that the Inuit have dozens of words for snow, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, pun intended. Their language, Inuktitut, actually shapes how they see the world. Studies suggest that speakers of Inuktitut process space and time differently because of how their grammar and vocabulary work. For instance, their concept of direction isn't based on relative terms like left and right, but on absolute terms like north and south. An Inuit elder could be blindfolded, spun in circles, and still confidently point north. Scientists don't fully understand how this works, but it points to a connection with the environment that goes far beyond what most of us can even imagine. So are the Inuit living proof that humans can evolve to master any environment? Or are they holding on to ancient knowledge that modern science still can't explain? It's questions like these that keep anthropologists and geneticists coming back, trying to unravel the secrets of a people who seem to break all the rules of human survival. But the Inuit aren't the only group whose story has left scientists speechless. Thousands of miles away in the South Pacific, human belief has taken an even stranger turn with the phenomenon known as cargo cults. Imagine living your entire life on an isolated island with no cities, no electricity, no modern tools, just the land and the sea to sustain you. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, massive metal birds descend from the sky, dropping crates filled with food, clothing, and weapons. It must have seemed like magic or divine intervention. That's exactly how it felt for some Melanesian islanders when US military forces set up bases on their islands during World War II. These cargo drops weren't just supplies, they were miracles. And the people receiving them didn't see the American soldiers as ordinary humans, but as divine beings or powerful shamans who could summon goods from the heavens. When the islanders noticed the Americans always received the cargo, they tried to copy them. The Melanesians built wooden replicas of watchtowers, runways, and even airplanes, hoping to summon the cargo from the sky themselves. They marched in formation, mimicked military drills, and even painted USA on their bodies, believing it to be some kind of sacred symbol. But there was one small problem. No matter how carefully they imitated the soldiers, the cargo never returned. When the war ended and the US military packed up and left, they took their supplies, and their miracles, with them. For the islanders, this wasn't just an army leaving. It was their gods abandoning them. Some even believed the soldiers had stolen their deities, taking the cargo back to another world. Desperate to reconnect, they continued performing their rituals, waiting for the sky to open up once more. But the parachutes never came back. Today, anthropologists use the term cargo cult to describe this kind of blind imitation of technological forms without understanding their underlying principles. But for the people who lived it, it was no metaphor, it was reality. It was the only way they could make sense of a world that had suddenly become unimaginably strange. But the cargo cults of Melanesia aren't the only cultural phenomena that have left outsiders stunned. Deep in the jungles of northeast India, the Naga people have a history so intense it's almost hard to believe. The Naga aren't a single tribe but over 40 distinct groups spread across the border between India and Myanmar. On the surface, they might seem like just another collection of indigenous communities living off the land. But their past reveals something much darker and more complex. For centuries, the Naga relied on hunting and agriculture to survive. Their hunters weren't just skilled, they were legendary. Stories tell of Naga warriors fighting tigers with their bare hands, feats that cemented their reputation as some of the fiercest fighters in the region. But their society wasn't only about warfare. They were highly skilled artisans, renowned for pottery, weaving, and blacksmithing. Women in Naga societies weren't simply servants. They held rights and important roles, particularly in managing households and raising children. One fascinating custom in Naga families is their inheritance system. When the eldest son marries, the family home is passed down to him, while the parents move out and build a new house for themselves. This practice helped manage resources and kept family units tightly knit. For the most part, the Naga lived self-sufficient, communal lives. But there's no escaping their most infamous tradition, headhunting. Until the late 20th century, the Naga were known for taking the heads of enemies in battle. This wasn't simple violence. It was a deeply ingrained cultural practice, a rite of passage, a way to gain status and honor. The more heads a warrior collected, the more respect he commanded. Warriors often wore elaborate tattoos to display their victories. These gruesome trophies weren't just for shock value. They were potent symbols of power and spiritual strength. Over time, as India modernized and government authorities imposed new laws, headhunting was outlawed. But even today, the legacy of these fierce traditions haunts the jungles of Nagaland, where stories of old battles and tattooed warriors are passed down like myths. While the Naga have largely left their violent past behind, far away in the frozen wilderness of Northeast Asia another indigenous people continue to preserve their unique way of life. The Chuki, who live in Russia's Chukotka region, might not be as well known as the Inuit, but their ability to thrive in one of the harshest environments on Earth is nothing short of remarkable. With a population of around 16,000, the Chuki have called this icy landscape home for thousands of years. Their exact origins remain a mystery, but their culture has stayed remarkably consistent since at least the 3rd century BC. The Chuki divide into two main groups based on their lifestyle. Inland Chuki are expert reindeer herders, relying on their animals for food, clothing, and transportation. Coastal Chuki are skilled hunters, braving frigid seas to catch seals, walrus, and even whales. Their methods have modernized somewhat over time. What once required harpoons and spears now benefits from firearms, but the essence of their traditions remains. Their homes, called urus, are built to withstand ferocious Arctic winds. These polygonal tents, covered in reindeer skins, are anchored with stones and straps to stay put even in the worst storms. Inside, a central fire keeps the living space warm enough that the Chuki can wear light clothing even in freezing weather. Despite contact with modern civilization during the Soviet era, which brought schools and hospitals to some settlements, the core of Chuki life remains largely unchanged. They continue to live in close connection with their environment, practicing skills and customs passed down for countless generations. And while the Chuki have adapted to the Arctic, thousands of miles away on the scorching plains of East Africa, another group faces a different kind of challenge. The Surma people of Ethiopia and South Sudan might not battle icy winds, but they deal with relentless heat, seasonal droughts, and the constant pressure of resisting outside influence. Fiercely protective of their culture, the Surma have long rejected government attempts to assimilate them into broader society. Divided into three main tribes, Turga, Chai, and Bume, they share a deep commitment to cattle breeding and agriculture, with cattle not just as food but as a symbol of wealth, status, and social ties. For the Surma, tradition is everything. Body scarification, elaborate lip plates for women, and intricate rituals all serve to reinforce cultural identity in the face of modernization. Even as roads and markets creep closer to their territory, the Surma remain determined to hold on to the ways of their ancestors, guarding their land, their livestock, and their traditions with fierce pride. Across the globe, these diverse peoples, the Inuit, the cargo cult believers, the Naga, the Chuki, and the Surma, demonstrate just how astonishingly adaptable, resilient, and culturally rich humans can be. They remind us that survival isn't just about biology, but about deep knowledge, shared stories, and the power to shape the world in ways that outsiders may never fully